Oh wow, that's a nice one. Jeromy Ross. I wonder who that is. Oh yeah, look at that one. That's a nice one too. Look at that. Look at that detail though. Wow. Yeah. It's a nice one too. Look at that. Look at that detail. Look at that detail. Are you Jeromy Ross?
Yes, I am.
What you working on?
I'm just drawing my newest painting here.
I was looking at some of those pieces outside. They're really great.
Thank you. This is my newest work that I'm working on right now, and I'm using a roller on it. So a lot of my work has to deal with an uncontrollable aspect from the beginning. So I use the roller, so I paint on the roller, and then I mark down, and that way I can get a pattern, but without controlling the pattern. So there's still a formula to it.
Were you trying to get a pattern when you started it, or did it just happen?
I knew there would be a pattern, but I never. So yeah, I guess I was.
Cool. Can you talk about these pieces here?
Yeah, these are monotypes that I work over. And a lot of them I use certain chemicals that can't control how the medium will actually work with it. And then so there's still that uncontrollability in that way. And then a lot of these marks are intuitive marks that I make that really are just kind of what happens when I don't really think about the marks that I'm making. So I try to work with something more intuitive, something less methodical, and then try to use my formula to help control the composition afterwards.
Why are you so interested in not trying to control things?
Well, because I think it has to do a lot with my philosophical beliefs about really what is the nature of the universe. Is it formulaic or chaotic?
What is it?
I don't know. And I think the unknown is probably more interesting.
Cool. What about this one here?
That's a series. I did a series of weavings where I do two separate paintings, both with concentric circles on them. And I'm trying to just think about, well, really it was about the process. Like, the process of weaving was very repetitive and methodical, in contrast with the very gestural marks that started it out. So,
was control an aspect in your weavings?
Yeah, it was control because it essentially makes a grid, and I use a grid a lot to kind of talk about control, because if you think of a grid, it's the way to plot something, like on a map or on a graph or something.
Were you thinking about baskets?
Not really. Just although it is interesting where like that humble like craft mixed with the serious scientific aspect does come into play, I guess. But it really was a very meditative process because it's so repetitive. I don't really think about what I'm doing. It's just.
What about your prints?
Some of the prints are just more control. I was on a big Albers kick, so I did a lot of Albers within Albers paintings. And then with some.
Do you have an inside joke with Albers?
Yeah, it's my inside joke with the Albers, especially this one over here, because it's an Albers and an Albers. So it's a print talking about printing, because really it's about registration. So it's a print registered with inside another print that's registered.
Cool. What about these?
This is done from a series of images I had of static, and then I rolled a 12-sided die to, and whatever the die landed on, that was how many seconds I let the static play, and then I paused it on that second and came up with an image from that. So then I wove these images together. So that was another way of not controlling the foundation of it.
It seems like you're really interested in not controlling aspects of it, but there's a great deal of control in a lot of them, too.
Yeah, the point is to end up with a controlled composition, but start off chaotic in some way.
Do you consider yourself anal?
Not really. I mean, look at my studio.
Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you. It was nice to meet you,
Very nice to meet you.
Jeromy.